Fine. I'm here with James and Lee. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hey, yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. So Headlander came out earlier this week.
Did on Tuesday.
And we're gonna play it.
Wow.
You're gonna play it.
This is so
we're gonna
simple.
talk.
I thought this was gonna be complicated or something. But
Yeah. Should we start?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
roll.
All right.
Cool.
So here we are, title screen.
Logo by
and
Corey Schmitz.
let's,
our friend.
Let's do a new game.
Let's do a new game.
So everyone gets into the Headlander mythos. Now, what was the inspiration behind Headlander? Like, who came up with the idea? I want to play as a head in 1970s outer space.
That would be me. Speaking of heads, which one should we pick? Do we want got 3 heads the player can choose from? I kind of like the old person.
Let's
here.
do old guy.
Yeah,
old guy
that's
head.
He's seen it all already.
Yeah. He's just like, why are you waking me up for this?
It's true. Well, I mean, the inspiration for the game really, more than anything else, was 1970s science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And probably 1970s science fiction films more than anything else. A couple of my favorites are Logan's Run or Zardoz.
Oh, yeah.
Rollerball, those sort of strange films.
Barbarella.
Barbarella's a good one, and I think that was even late 60s. But spiritually, it's 70s. It fits in.
True.
Fits in.
True.
And the science fiction in that era was really charming for me because it's kind of the dawn of when technology was really becoming a thing. Like, it was clear it was going to transform human existence in some way. Mm-hmm. But computers and lasers and things like that were still kind of new, so no one really understand how they worked or what it would mean. So there's this really charming, naive take on what could go wrong with humankind's future and technology that I found just super interesting and kind of funny when you look back at it, even though it's got kind of subtext or undertones of something kind of serious and existential.
Yeah. They don't quite make them like that anymore.
No, I think we all kind of settled into, no one believes now that you could defeat the world's most powerful computer with a logic loop.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess
There has to be the equivalent of that now, though. They're looking back in 10, 20 years' time.
I think the equivalent now is someone
hacking
hacking into a computer over the phone.
Hacking.
Can you do that? Can you hack a computer with a phone?
Probably
Seems
not
like a lot of
anymore,
work.
but you used to be able to.
Yeah, acoustic couplers.
Damn.
Yeah.
So what's happening here?
So you start off the game with a bit of mystery in kind of classic 1970s science fiction style, and you wake up just as this head on a ship, and a voice in your helmet radio who you spend a lot of the game listening to and interacting with. His name is Earl, and Earl is telling you a few things.
Crotch shot.
And crotch shot, and so Earl's telling you, we got to get you off the ship. Methuselah wants to get hold of you. And he's going to help you, but you're not sure what any of that means at this point. And you try and talk, but then Earl says, hey, you don't have any lungs, so you can't talk. Because you're just a head. Heads don't have lungs. So your character is silent. I'm going to play through this pretty fast because I think a lot of people have seen the first part of the game. So I'm going to kind of blow through it, but we can stop and look at anything.
Yeah, this bit shows you the premise of the game, though, that you're the head, there's bodies, the head can take off.
Little hidden things. For those of you familiar with the game, you start to see these little characters here in the foreground. There's been evidence of a fight. They show up much later in the game.
Oh, wow.
Those characters, so you're still a little bit there. And you
Foreshadowing.
can do a lot of things. This is a little angry vacuum cleaner, the Electro Sucks. We tried to add a lot of these little things for you to talk to and interact with, get little bits of the story of the game, and just have a lot of fun with the kind of surreal nature of the whole world.
How did you build the story? You knew that you wanted to do this era of sort of 1970s sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
When did the head come in? When did this happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was a bunch of things, and I think at one point, really thinking about the science fiction from the era, I really liked that on some level, even though it was completely stupid, it also was really about identity. What does technology mean? Is this computer really sentient because it's advanced enough? And I just started thinking about what makes you you. What if you are just a head? Are you still you? And what if you could dock in and take over these robot bodies? What if there's citizens in this world who most of the people in the world have had their bodies or their minds transferred to robotic imposter bodies, and that's one of the premises of the game. So are they still really alive, or so it was a lot of those serious things, but I thought, it would be great to fly around as a head. There was something about lunar landing module, and lasers were another big part of it too, lasers, bouncing lasers. I
love that they bounce, that they don't just stop.
Yeah, lasers. Of course, lasers bounce. That would be something they do in science fiction, right?
And leave crazy trails behind.
Leave crazy trails. This is the beard, the mouth of Methuselah.
Beard.
Is he's only really represented as a beard through most of the game. So we have this sort of
Solid.
strange beard, and at this point where you're trying to get into the door, because if you fly your head up, one of the other basic mechanics is you can't get through doors with just their
Aw.
head.
Poor head.
The
Head doesn't have
AI doesn't
clearance.
open for little heads. So you have to, and all doors open when you shoot them with a laser of the correct color. So I've got a red laser and I can shoot a red door. But it's hard to get a shot, so you can bounce lasers.
Nice.
And use that to fly through before it closes.
Now, I have to ask, with the whole, the idea of being ahead and being alive, is that something that you would choose to do, like the people in this world? Like, would you ever say, you know what, forget it, let's just be ahead? Does that like interest you in any way?
Well, I guess it depends. I mean, if the choice was death or being ahead, maybe
Sure.
I'd choose
Are you
dead.
sick of your useless human flesh yet?
Yeah, maybe I am a little bit. I'm starting to get old. You know,
Yeah.
starting to.
Oh,
Swap it out for a younger.
Yeah, for a younger
edition,
plastic
or
body.
maybe a different shape.
Well, you know, one of the things that we don't explicitly go into in the story very much, but is kind of this element is that the motivation for people like transferring. And there's a couple of things that Earl and Methuselah say, and some of the citizens, and we've got like hidden data tapes in the world that talk about that the world became a pretty hard place to live in. And so
Aw.
citizens, after the war, right? They don't talk about exactly what war
The
it is.
war.
The Ever War.
The Ever War is what they call it. So the idea is that the environment was toxic or unfriendly enough that people were motivated to move over to something that was free from disease or old age and could actually exist in that environment. So that was kind of like one of the ideas there as to maybe why some people would choose that. Plus, they come in a lot of different colors. So
True.
like there's that as well.
gotta look pretty. Let's talk about this art. Like what did your, obviously from the 1970s films and stuff, but this beautiful, like, I feel like I'm in a disco. Like, can you talk about the art design and how you sort of developed it and why you settled on these sort of like the bright, like flashy colors?
Yeah, again, a lot of our inspiration was the 1970s itself, and there's a lot of really amazing art and architecture and graphic design from the era, and a lot of them involve using unusual color schemes. And I think someone might have approached that making a game in the 70s by making everything kind of
this is so good.
desaturated. Yes, you just got upgraded now, so now you have the ability to, I guess, vacuum things off. So I'm going to vacuum off this tube patch here. So one of the
Nice.
things you can do. But you can also use this to pull off heads, and this is a major part of the game: is sucking off heads.
I love pulling other things' heads off. It's so satisfying.
It's like gentle decapitation.
And
He's got blood.
and
he
he's
doesn't
fine.
really mind. He's
He's fine. He can get a new body.
And if you really hate his head, you can track it down and blow it.
Okay, he's not fine anymore.
Yeah, he's gone.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
Oh my.
So, so in terms of the color and stuff, but we were also like dealing with the idea of lots of lasers. We wanted something that would really make lasers feel like glowy, and we wanted this analog feel. We like to imagine like the world never had digital technology somehow underneath everything. Like all these guys are running on vacuum tubes and whatnot. So,
yeah. You
so
can see those screens are like huge CRT style
Yeah.
screens.
And so that sort of like aberration and color bleed and slightly like blown out color, oversaturated, is just sort of like a nod to that era and to like that idea of analog technology.
See, I love the stuff that like emulates the 70s and like emulates like the 80s. Like, why do you think we love that so much? Is it because everything is just so like kooky now, and this was like a simpler, more beautiful time? Maybe.
It's interesting. I think, and part of it too is this doesn't really look. If you were to compare it to something from the 70s, it doesn't really look that close to it, but it kind of is intended to like recall what you might remember it to be kind of like.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of fun because it's kind of at the same time it's somewhat familiar, but then somewhat bizarre and some new. And I think that kind of gives people like a little bit of a. You can even land with these little vacuum cleaners. There goes
Aw.
his head. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
You
yay!
can talk to the vacuum cleaners too, and when you talk to them, they give you a little different dialogue. So if I talk to them as another Electrosucks, they'll talk to me as if I'm an Electrosucks. If I land into this body and talk to them, they'll talk to me like I'm their new sergeant, and then they're sort of chastising me for being lazy about taking grime seriously. So we wanted to have this like little hidden life for all the like little robots and AI through there that in some ways they're more human than the human, which is just kind of a joke, kind of an ironic thing. These guys also do have a little bit of a tactical thing. They can get into small doors, but they can also eject dust. And that kind of distracts them. And while they're distracted, you can suck their head off and take control of their body. But if once you, of course, do that, they get a little alerted to you and they're a little upset. So, eventually the game has opens up quite a bit later on. But even this early stage, you can pick a couple different paths. You can kind of go up here and use this terminal to activate the elevator, and kind of make your way back this way if you want to go fight some more shepherds. That's what the bad guys are called here. Or you can kind of take this guy and go through this little hidden door here.
Ooh.
And go into these tunnels that only the electrosucks are allowed to get into, because there's like service tunnels.
So is there a lot of hidden stuff like this?
Yeah, we do have a lot of little hidden places that only your head can get into, or different robot bodies that you can land onto. We've got another electrosucks here, and he's sabotaged the central suction system because they're kind of anti-central suction. There's this little theme where they're always kind of got posters everywhere and don't want to be automated, which is kind of funny. They're fighting the same fight that humanity ultimately is, but they're just little robots. But we do have quite a bit of hidden stuff, a lot of little things for you to find. Some of it's just goofy, fun stuff, and some of it is leads to upgrades and other sort of pickups. So actually, I'm going to go back and take this.
I love all the shapes of the games. Like there's barely any straight lines anywhere. There's so many curves and like pods, like egg pods, and you'll see the helmet as a theme just constantly all over the place.
Yeah.
Like,
we did put
also
a lot
this
of
shape of this spaceship.
We did put
Now
a lot
he's
of
a
round
rocket.
things in the game. That's true.
He's definitely a rocket.
It's very, I like the roundness. It's very welcoming. Like straight lines can sort of feel like cold, but I feel like this is like a warm, awesome world that if I was maybe a head floating around and not being attacked by robots, I would really enjoy living here. Well, not there. Now that it's that it's been decimated. Maybe not that specific place, but
not that specific.
The Star
but it is true. There is something interesting about I think 70s design is involved with a lot of warm tones and a lot of organic shapes, and part of that was a technological advance in the 70s and 60s of architecture. A lot of poured concrete and fiberglass.
And advancements in plastics in general.
And plastics.
Yeah.
It's funny because now plastics seem really tacky because we're like, we want to go back to authentic materials like wood and metal. But they were kind of a relatively new technological advance. So it'd be like, but it's cooler in plastic. I remember my grandparents had plastic on their furniture.
What?
They had these like clear plastic they put
I
on
remember
it.
that stuff.
Which
Was
was a
that comfy?
combination of like weird, crappy futurism and
It's like this will keep
practicality.
it safe. Yeah, but it like, completely negates the comfort level of it.
yeah.
Plastic's crazy.
It's like putting a skin on a couch. No way.
It's true, we are sitting on. No, we're not sitting on.
This is a nice couch. This is a nice like woolen like
we can
something
endorse
couch.
this couch.
Yep. 10 out of 10.
This stream brought to you by
This couch.
IKEA or something.
10 out of 10.
Room and board.
Yeah.
So we've made our way. We've escaped the ship, and Earl is tried to guide us away, and he's found that the ship that we're on is kind of homing in on a secure deck. So he's trying to divert it so we don't get detected or immediately surrounded. So we crash landed to this big spaceship, space station, and we're going to spend a good chunk of the game here, and it winds up opening up and having a lot of different zones, and the player. It sort of starts out somewhat linear, but then it starts to be progressively more open, and players are allowed to retraverse for extra secrets, do side missions, and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, we didn't want. I think we weren't really aiming for now you got to run over the whole game to find that one thing. So we try to keep it a little more guided, a little more like you can follow the story and be a little more casual about that exploration, and only really engage in it if you want to. You don't have to run down every end of the upgrade tree. You don't have to find everything. But if you're the type of player who enjoys that, it's there for you.
So are there, I'm assuming there will be different kinds of enemies in the space station?
Yeah, and they all kind of fall under the umbrella, at least most of them do, as what we call shepherds, which are the sort of pure robot police force of Methuselah that he uses to carry out his evil draconian will, because of course it wouldn't be a 70s science fiction if the world wasn't like some sort of automated world of tomorrow that had gone wrong, and that's kind of what it is, right? And so, but each of those shepherds has a lot of variety in terms of what they can do, and their strength, and their weapons, and so that opens up.
They escalate pretty crazily.
They do.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of we're kind of in the underbelly of here, and so even though it's a perfect sort of fiberglass world, the idea we were trying to sell here is that underneath it all, it's actually kind of an old space station made of giant transistors and vacuum tubes, and is a little like there's something wrong, right? Because it's like it's the utopia that's covered up by something kind of creepy and weird.
I love all the light bulbs. Like that's beautiful.
Little vacuum guys.
It almost looks like a real cave, but it's not. It's
fiberglass
just
cave.
fiberglass.
So I was picking up some energy there, and that's one of the ways that you can upgrade your helmet systems eventually. And we got our mini map, which is sort of You know, you can pull up a bigger map here. You can see our first objective here, and you know, we wind up having a pretty elaborate world with a lot of switchbacks and everything. So this becomes a good tool for the player to kind of find where they are, and you can see the start of our upgrade tree here is.
Ample use of pink and brown, by the way.
Pink
I
and
love
brown.
the pink and brown.
Pink, brown, and orange are a very awesome color combination. This aren't used that much anymore, so we wanted to use it.
I don't really see brown anywhere anymore.
Well,
I
depends
mean,
how
like
many
not in
FPS
a
games that you've been playing recently,
Yeah,
but
well, brown's
it's a very different kind of brown.
Yeah, that's right.
not the nice brown, the shooter brown.
Shooter brown.
Shooter brown.
So I'm gonna fly through these little tubeways here, which are kind of behind the scenes. There's a lot of these in the game, and one of the things you can find are these little little upgrade flowers. And your helmet is designed to kind of land into a lot of different terminals. So you can land into these terminals, and you extract certain energy. And the idea is that it's making
dangerous.
stronger synaptic connections with your head and the helmet systems, right? So my helmet health has been increased. You can see a little extra pip got added to my helmet health bar there.
I love that the universal dock of this world is the thing
the
that is
helmet.
around your neck. Yeah, your helmet, your neck.
Well, and you know, one of the ideas was that it's kind of like, much like the Death Star had that one little exhaust port that no one figured out was a bad idea. The world here is all built around modular universal pieces, because why would not? Computers designing the world, right? And so it just happens that that standard caliber, that standard diameter, you can fit your helmet docking system, right? Like it was designed to lock into that.
What's why did you choose the name Methuselah?
Methuselah. There's a couple of ideas there. And one is it's a biblical term, you know, and it deals with something that's sort of been alive a long time, kind of endless life. And there's also if you look at transhumanism ideas, I'm not a big transhumanism person, but you know, this is the idea of extending your life by, like, say, uploading yourself to a computer. Methuselarity is a term that they often use. So there's a couple of connections there. Go ahead.
Oh, is Methuselah one of the wine bottle side names?
That's a Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar, yeah. And
Is there a Methuselah? I don't think so.
There should be. It
There's
sounds
a
like it
whole
should
lot
be.
outside the standard. There just winds up being a ton.
Nebuchadnezzar is like 25 wine bottles.
Yeah.
Insane.
Perfect for a
The
British
giant,
home
like,
Yeah.
back to talking about alcohol again.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
we can't stay away.
So we're gonna go into the fun area.
That's the pleasure port, by the way.
Yeah, we're in the pleasure port.
It's got some good names of rooms in here. Here's the Fondularium.
This is the Funlarium.
What's it?
Fondularium. You can see some undulating robots there on the shag carpet, and
You can also do, and this is also where
some interesting beads hanging down.
yeah, you can talk to these people.
That looks like a very comfortable carpet.
It is, and you know, they're enjoying themselves here. This is kind of like there are all these like ridiculous pleasurable activities that don't make sense. You can dance.
I was gonna ask, the first time I played, I found the dance button like first try.
Yeah, it's something we never tell the player specifically, but having watched some streams of people, a lot of people are finding them and having fun with them. There's another dance here.
Nice.
And you can do it anywhere in the game, and it's you know, it's kind of funny because it's also the melee button for combat bodies, but these citizen bodies aren't combatant, so you can you know, but if you use that same button,
They do battle through the medium of dance.
That's what I'm saying.
Can you dance battle?
You can't specifically, no, but
That's obviously what that's for
there's a
in
few
this
hidden
society.
things there, yeah. And here's the high five lounge. So this is where you can kind of like make connections. You can high five people. It's like what citizens do.
Why don't we have these now? This is amazing.
You should build one here. You should
my
make
gosh.
a high five lounge.
There are some days when all I need is another human to just affirm with a palm press.
That's true.
Everything's going great.
So we're gonna get a little upgrade here as well.
I'm gonna put in a rec for that.
That's the kind of San Francisco tech company hire that we might go for. Like, we need somebody just to go around high-fiving everyone all day. Just because everyone needs like pumping up, so we need some high fives.
I think you'd actually have an
Cheap
app that high
high-fiver.
fives for you.
Oh yeah.
Like you could designate someone you want to get a high five.
You have been high-fived.
Yeah. And someone else would high five them for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could hold your iPhone up and
such a good
high-five
idea.
it. But
Like an app where like a hand comes up and it's like, good job. And you
I
just,
do have like an image of, like, you know, it's probably an old like JPEG that's good to send around that just is a picture of a hand that says, place your hand to the screen here or whatever. It's a good thing to send around.
There's another character named Mappy that you can find throughout the game. And it's this he's like a little map assistant, and he talks to you. He's totally super wanting to be helpful, and he's just annoying. But you can, like most things in the world, you can pull Mappy's head off, and it's a little sad, Mappy. But you can dock into his body, and when you do that, you can download his information to your map system.
So it pays to vandalize the Mappy.
Pay. Yeah, there's a weird thing here where gentle decapitation is constantly rewarded.
Gentle
but
decapitation.
They're just robots, so, or people who are downloaded to new bodies. You're not really hurting people, you're just borrowing them.
Popping their heads off.
But Mappy can also dance, like everyone can dance. So Mappy can do his little dance, and one of the things he is always asking if you'd like to know more, so he says that while he dances. And every dance has a custom piece of music written for it, so that's good.
This is a good chance to ask about the soundtrack. We were talking about it earlier before we went live. Tell me about it. It's so it sets the atmosphere so perfectly.
Yeah, I really love our soundtrack, and we have, first of all, we have a huge soundtrack. It's about 90 minutes, our actual soundtrack that you can get on Steam, which is actually not all of what's in the game. So we have quite a large soundtrack, and it was written by Dave Earle, who's a San Francisco musician. He's actually in Oakland, but he's here local, and he really loves this era. And so when we sat down to talk early on, I said, well, it'd be great if it was just like all influenced by analog. And he's like, oh, what about this guy, and this guy, Wendy Carlos, and Vangelis, and all these people. And so he wound up doing a lot of it on analog synths. Our game is actually composed and recorded on about 80% analog synths. So he actually has
incredible.
These old analog synths, and he borrowed some, and so it's really amazing. And we even did some of our mastering through, or some of our recording through Real Tape. A lot of the sound effects and sound design for the game done by Camden Stoddard, our in-house sound designer. He did used a lot of those same instruments to do a lot of our sound effects. So we even have a Cylon Wilhelm scream in the game somewhere.
Really?
That is so cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's really pleasing.
That's one of those many things that started as a joke that became serious. So this part of the game, by the way, we've just been sort of like winding our way. So it sort of teaches about navigation and looking for hidden areas. You can already see there's some doors that we don't have a red body to open those doors yet, that we can kind of come back to. But we're just going to kind of move forward here. And this is largely a citizen area. There's not a lot of combat here. But
y'all found mid-range zap station.
Found the mid-range zap systems, which later on let you kind of fast travel through different areas of the world.
I was going to say, if anyone's interested in seeing more of the music, we have a music video that we made, the Metisula song. It's up on our YouTube channel, Doublefine YouTube channel. Pretty easy to find.
Awesome.
There might be a bit of David Earl on there. I think.
I'm not sure, yeah.
But we did a launch day stream that's on our YouTube channel as well.
He did a live performance.
He's on that, talking more about the instruments he used, the processes, and stuff like that. Which is cool.
We are in the hookah lounge.
Was this a cutscene?
This is a cutscene because the shepherds are now back in town. We're in an area that's secure. So you can see like the citizens freak out when lasers go on. They kind of cower around. And we don't really have a enemy body right now. So we are just going to try and get close and pull his head off, its head off. And now we have a laser. Now we can be evil and shoot at citizens, but we don't want to do that. We can try and talk to them, but they're just really panicked now, so we're going to leave them alone. We can come back and talk to them later. And we have a cover system in the game, which is a pretty light cover system, but it does let you kind of plan out your shots a bit. If you are the type of player who likes to be a little more tactical with your shots, you can do it. It's also a very run and gun style game, so it really kind of supports different play styles. But you can switch sides in the cover, and when you go into cover, it goes automatically into precise mode. So it's great for kind of lining up headshots. And I can sit here and wait for these moments and shoot their heads off.
Nice.
Because your robot bodies don't heal by themselves. So eventually, what happens is if you take enough damage, they'll blow up.
Which is also a really good strategy because you can like run it. If you're gonna blow up, you can run into some enemies and then jettison your head and then it'll blow up.
You can also do this all the time. Anytime you use a zap pad and there's another person on the target, you can telefrag them, which is fun. So you can also kind of time those in combat. They'll kind of cross those, and if you could pull one of those off, it'll
That's awesome. It's like a nice little touch there.
And so we've got some angry shepherds here. So I'm going to shoot these guys. And one of the things that this area introduces is the idea of a lockdown room. So you sort of hit the scanner, and the computer's detected that you're not really a citizen here. And so these doors lock down, and they unlock based on different things. In this case, oh, he's still good. They will unlock based on sometimes just killing a certain number of enemies, but in this case, I'm going to have to do something a little bit more. I'm showing the lasers. We can also go up and melee people, which starts out kind of not super powerful, but you can upgrade that over the course of the game. Now you see whenever they take critical damage, they have a few seconds and they blow up, which can take out other enemies as well. So they're kind of like, every enemy is basically like a mobile red barrel in gaming. So I can land in here and deactivate the doors. The lockdown's over. Again, you can always keep an eye out for secret areas. Like there's another one hiding up here. You can find these little areas.
Ooh,
and
sneaky.
I'm gonna go in here.
This soundtrack is like so good.
Full of energy. And one of the things you'll see is sometimes you'll see things like this. Like this is a continuous laser beam that will just blow my head up. And I don't yet have the ability to get past these, but this is one of the upgrades that you'll get pretty soon. And we can kind of come back and yeah. You can also, it's also pretty fun just to run your head into things and hear the hollow clang of, yeah. Yeah. So we also talked about enemies. You see when you land in this one, this guy says Patrol Red Double and he's got a 2 icon. So he fires 2 lasers right on top of each other. So it's almost like a double damage laser, whereas this character here is just got a single one. So you kind of have to sort of pay attention. There's a little bit of discovery from landing in different bodies and figuring out which lasers that you'd like to use. There's little hidden stuff in the game. There's all little hidden interactions. Like you can go here and interact with this, and little advertisements are replaced with propaganda about the Omega Gem, which is a sort of a mood-restraining chip they have in the game.
How did you do the? Oh, we got a trophy. How did you? I wanna listen to you if it's okay to talk to some of those NPCs and listen to them talk because I love the.
Oh yeah.
The
little dialogue here for these guys. There you go. So these guys, they have little bits of backstory. So like the citizens, this is a satellite chalet. So these guys kind of talk a little bit about like the what this area used to be. So this apparently the satellite chalet at some point was the satellite oubliette and they were tortured. So now he's talking about how much better it is that there's no screaming and there's artificial fire. And isn't that great?
There's no screaming anymore.
I like there's brick in here as well. Like
there's a dog. There's a dog.
Yeah.
There's another dog.
Oh yeah, we have dogs. You can
talk
talk to dogs. Yeah, they pant. The great thing about dogs is you can also suck a dog head off, which sounds terrible, and land into the. And if you talk to the dog, they'll bark back, and you can talk to other people, the dog, and then they'll be like, talk to you as if you're a dog now.
Oh my gosh!
And so this guy's like, I don't remember the head's looking that way, and he's sort of saying some unkind things about the dog's head, your head as a player.
Are there any little secret dog halls?
Yeah, there are. I think you talk.
Let's find a secret dog hole.
Yeah, so you can also bark as a dog
like
and
it.
do a little bit of damage to
yeah.
people. It's a pretty small amount of damage, but they get a little upset. So the thing about dogs is because they're also these little tiny guys, you can run them into those little small doors that are meant actually for the vacuum cleaning systems of the station, but because they're small, they'll get into there as well. So you can kind of sneak in there. So we can take this little guy.
Oh, this is the best.
This is the best
We're a
little
dog.
adventure.
We're a dog.
We're a dog. So we're in here, this little electrosex hatch. Now we can't get that upgrade now because again we've hit something we can't quite pass yet, but we can come back to it. You can also see there's some propaganda posters. There's a "Say No to Centralizing" propaganda poster on the wall. Like the electrosex have those little hidden propaganda things in their little areas.
All of the graphic
All the
design and the propaganda and the advertising and stuff is so awesome. There's like every room has its own logo almost.
Yeah. We had to localize. We went to localize these things. These things are custom logos and textures. I think we had like 280 logos. We had to
Oh my gosh.
localize. The artist all hated me for that.
There's weird things to localize as well, like Omega Gem and
Yeah, they're strange.
Fondalarium. Like I'm sure there's
Yeah, how do you?
Mondalarium in German is magnificent looking.
What is it?
I don't remember. I just remember it looking great.
I wanna
There's a
know
little
what.
snowman. So you can. There's a lot of hidden
Wow.
things that you can find, and they give you little bits of energy to reward exploration. But you can also just land in them. And this is Frosty the Observer. Just a little backstory, like maybe Peter's always watching people, but you can then dance. He's got a little dance too. Yeah. Get a little reward for
That's
dancing.
amazing.
We've got a lot of different dances in different areas of the game. The dog. The interesting thing about the dog is I don't have
Oh my
the
god. There's a dog.
upgrade right now, but let's see. We can upgrade our melee, or I can save it. Let's see. So the way upgrades worked is you get these branch ones at certain key points in the game, but you have all these optional upgrades. So if I want to increase the melee power, I can buy that. Now I have 2 further nodes I could upgrade,
Ooh.
or I could save points and increase my suck power, or I could do this what's called a headbutt takeover, which lets you headbutt people and knock their head off and swap yours on too. So it's like
That sounds awesome.
But
I'd like to be able to do that.
The dog, actually, you can actually use them for combat eventually. Like if some of the upgrades, if you apply to the dog, you actually have this thing that's hard for shepherds to hit, and you can actually take them out. I don't have those upgrades right now, but it's pretty funny to. I think I'm actually going to go. So you can see that there's a red door here. We don't have a shepherd
Goodbye,
body.
dog body.
Yeah,
And the
leave the
bodies
dog
just
there.
stay there, like after.
They do, yeah, and actually their heads stay here too. And you can have fun just playing with heads, throwing them around. They make very satisfying sounds. But you can also later on you can do things like push energy into the head and turn it into a bomb and throw it.
Ooh.
So they also have a like a tactical thing you can do with them as well. It's just having fun. So we're gonna go this way, and there's a red door I can't open. Oh, they're coming in. So yeah, all of our door systems run by a sarcastic door AI, and if you try and access color systems, they just make a lot of color puns. So he's just trying to tell you need red, but anyway, so they're really terrible color puns. There's a lot of them. There's a few hundred lines of color puns.
Who voiced you?
Yeah.
Who was the voice of
That was Mike Lopreet. He was a comedian. So we can go this way, and this leads us to another upgrade station. And what this is going to do, this is going to give us another one of those branch level upgrades. And we're going to get the ability to get through some of those lasers that we've been seeing. So all of our upgrades kind of have a traversal navigation function, like maybe let you get in areas, but they also have a combat function, and sometimes just a goofy, humorous function. So in this case, we couldn't get past these, but now I have this little bounce shield that I can pull out when I'm ahead, and I can rotate it around with my right thumbstick while flying, and so I can go through things like that and reflect it. And now that I'm through there, for example, I can pull this thing off and deactivate those lasers, and I can take my body through. You also notice I now have a new pink meter. That's my energy. So as you use certain abilities, upgrades and stuff, they'll use energy. And so in the case of the bounce shield, it doesn't use any energy to have out, but the more shots I take, it'll start to drain energy. So you can see up here, this guy will shoot at me. I can use this thing. He's not shooting me right now. I can use this thing to bounce his shots back.
Ooh, nice.
And you see my shield drain because he hit it a number of times. He's got a double laser, so it doesn't take too long.
So
now, I noticed there's a little hidden thing here. I can land into this deer head. Oh, I died.
That was amazing. See, that's why I said it's okay if you die,
Okay,
because
die.
I love
beautiful.
the beautiful explosive when you're
Psychedelic
dying
death.
animation. Now
Alright.
your energy automatically replenishes. You don't have to like collect it.
It does. Yeah, it's
Okay.
oh, we got this. Please help me when I'm talking. So yeah, the energy is it's sort of like, you can think of it kind of like a shield. Your head health and the head energy work the same way, where they'll both like drain and then recharge over time. You can also upgrade that head power a lot over the course of the game through other pickups. So eventually you can get some really powerful things that take a lot of energy, and that really helps the game. So you can take a lot more shots, in this case, to your bounce shield.
I miss the dog.
I know, and there's gonna be another little place we could take the dog right there. There's Mappy again, trying to be helpful. Mappy's also got a lot of cute things. So if you like punch Mappy, he's like assuming that you're trying to like hug him. He's like, see, he just likes to be held.
Mappy has no arms to
yeah.
high five you with.
And you see there's a little hole down there. So
You
if
can
we
shoot
were a
Mappy.
dog-
Mappy's got some comments about being shot too. See, he's like, but you can also, yeah. Anyway, so you can just shoot. Mappy's actually kind of tough. So if you ever need to get through an area sometimes, so you can take a lot of shots. Mappy's built to last, but you can take his head off. Mappy's
Poor
actually
Mappy.
voiced by Richard Horvitz, who's the voice of Raz and Psychonauts.
Oh,
A little hidden thing there. So this guy's now revealed a whole lot of stuff.
thanks, Mappy.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be like realigning all these satellites here, and the way most of our objectives work is that you kind of get into an area in somewhat of a guided path, but once you're in that area, you can kind of approach those objectives in any order you wish, and that kind of creates a lot of different experiences for people. I didn't have to get the upgrade then. I could have gone a completely different way.
You should use the little.
Oh yeah, this is what we found last time. There was a little hidden thing here you can sometimes find.
You can use the creepy deer head?
Yeah, so the creepy deer head, also named Buckshot, fires like these things. I kind of cleared the enemies out, but we can buckshot them to death too. So,
That's awesome.
this is a place here where you go like, how do, and this is kind of like, I wouldn't say our game is, it's puzzly, but not in sort of an adventure game way. It's a lot of traversal. It's like, well, how do I get into that as a head? Well, what you can do is you can fire a laser, and before it closes, you can go over here and fly through, or I can sit there and let this guy shoot at me, and his laser open the door for me, and I can fly through. So we have a lot of those type of things where there's really multiple ways to get through. Our bounce shield helps here because we can kind of reflect their lasers back and blow them up. We could just, we could try and dodge them. It's pretty easy to dodge at this stage of the game, but it's fun to blow stuff up. It's fun to blow things up. These guys are a little harder to dodge. Yeah. And there's an enemy here, so we'll just take his head. And then you can do like, hey, those little pesky things, let's just blow those up. Just shoot a
blow
lot
up everything.
Yeah, blow up everything.
Yeah,
colorful explosions.
See, there's another one down here, isn't there? So we'll just bounce some lasers and try and take that one out. There it goes.
Nice.
Yeah, so blowing stuff looks fun. So here's another case where we can't really get through it before, but now that we have our bounce shield, we can kind of get through, find some more hidden stuff. So you see, even in this small area of the game, we got a lot of little passages that you can find. This will give me more upgrade points, these little energy tubes. See, I've got a couple here. So I can go here and I can see now that we've unlocked bounce shield, I have a whole new branch of stuff. So now I can kind of give my body more armor. So this means any body I'm docked into can take more damage, which is useful. I can get body regeneration, which lets bodies heal over time, which until this point, you don't have any way to keep the bodies from blowing up all the time. This one gives you a double mirrored shield. Eventually you get to these sort of hidden ones on the end here. You can see there's a half circle where you have to connect both branches to be able to buy that upgrade. But let's take body armor. Body armor's good. Yeah, so we'll do body armor.
But I love switching bodies so often.
Yeah.
It's okay if they blow up. Not my problem. Not my body, not my problem.
And that is kind of a
very reckless attitude.
But it's kind of a strange thing in the game because you're used to, as players in most game, like trying to really hold on to your bodies, but bodies are really disposable in this game in a lot of ways. And so like I'm gonna let this guy shoot me here for a minute. I give myself body armor, which makes me even more durable. But one of the things that happens, you see I take critical damage here, my body will start flashing, and I can run. Oh, I blew that, of course. This is what happens. When you get like 5 seconds where your body really blows up, and you can do things like run it near the enemy who's trying to shoot you and let it blow them up, which is pretty fun.
Oh, wow.
So I found one of the things I'm supposed to do here is tune these satellites. So I'm going to kind of go through it pretty quickly, but there's a lot of hidden songs and backstory to find in these places. I can't actually hear which ones are right, so I'm going to do this quick. But what we're trying to do here is clear up the signal so that Earl, the guy who's been helping you in your helmet radio, can connect with you and help guide you to the next area because he's getting interference.
I love that you physically move that satellite.
Yeah. Again, it's that analog thing, right? Yeah. Take some cover here. He's blown up.
It's not just like dialing a radio, in your car to a different thing. It's physically repositioned.
Here's a case where I'm gonna let my body blow him up.
Oh yeah.
So
nice.
I ejected out of the body as it was about to blow up, and then its explosion took the enemy out for me. But now I can't get through here because I don't have a laser, right? So you might feel like, how are we trapped? But no, you know what? You know how to do that. So there's a guy here. And so there's a lot of different ways you could handle that, but we're gonna handle it the easy way, which we're gonna do a little fall. Here, we'll just run through here.
Oh boy.
But we got an enemy waiting for us. So we'll take off my bounce shield. It's a little tricky to reflect the shots back into him. We don't want to make that too easy, but it is enough to protect you. And every once in a while you pull off, like, you make them shoot their own head off, and that's really satisfying. So we're going to make that way through that. Oh, so I'm blowing up now, but I launched my body and took him out.
All this specific influence. Do you remember this video?
No, not really. This whole thing is called the Satellite Chalet, which we just sort of there was something about A-frame ski lodges in the 70s that were somehow big.
There's a ski lift.
Yeah, there's a ski lift. There's a ski lift.
I love that there's monitors showing fake snow. There's pictures of snowflakes that are really big. It's not just snowfall.
You can sort of see how it's kind of like the. One of the ideas here is that the computer, Methuselah, doesn't really understand humanity. Even though it's supposed to be the most advanced computer, in some ways it's the least human, the least conscious computer or robot around, other than perhaps the shepherd. So it does all these things that are kind of like, well, hey, humans, humans want a satellite chalet. They want to chill here. This is a relaxing place. But then it's filled with security monitors and robots walking around.
Doesn't get it.
Doesn't understand. It's the limitation of
human element.
Y'all gonna have to find a way to bring down that there.
True. So this one has a shield,
that?
and we're supposed to get in here and try and manipulate this terminal, but we've got this psychedelic shield, so we have to find a way to take that one down.
Looks oddly appetizing.
It is
like gum or something.
It's a killing force field.
It's like those. What was the brand of gum called that was like really big and giant?
Zebra
Stripe?
maybe? Zebra stripe, yeah, that one?
And it was just like, it was like a
Not in Britain.
rainbow.
James is
No,
like,
no, I know what
crikey.
that is. But I haven't even heard of that from movies.
Zebra
or
gum.
TV or anything.
Zebra gum. That's what that reminded me of, and I felt a little bit nostalgia.
Zebra gum is pretty...
Like
they
usually
make
I'm
that
aware of these things through cultural references, but I guess
yeah.
Zebra gum is like it was an in thing. Like you had to be in the know. You had to be in the know.
It's true.
Is it black and white?
No, it
I'm gonna
was
switch bodies.
white. It was white gum with like rainbow stripes on it, and they were all like different flavors. And the packs would come with like 50 pieces in it.
Yeah, and its sole appeal
yeah.
was just that it looked cool. Like, I don't think it tasted very good.
Oh, and it came with the temporary tattoos on the wrapper.
Oh, okay. Well,
But it was
now
all
I'm in.
it was all tattoos of the mascot, which was like a zebra and sunglasses.
Got a little healing station here. You can find these periodically if you want to heal the body.
Whoa, that's a very elaborate healing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of a giant. So we found a little cube right here. This one's a little more laser heavy. So if you hadn't found your upgrade here, you probably wouldn't be able to get to this area. But I can go here and get some more upgrade points.
Nice.
Oops. All right. Oh. So that's what happens. Sometimes your angle is off, and you pay the price.
I remember in development that angle was very.
Yeah, well, it's
good.
It's yeah. It's like you try to get the so there's some mastery, there's some like skill you develop over time with it, right? But you don't want it to be unpredictable. It's like trying to get that balance just right.
How long was Headlander in development?
Well, we've been like kind of in full development since. Let's see, was it December of 2014? So it's about 16 months, I'd say. I think that was about right. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, probably, but it kind of predates that as well.
That's true.
It even predates the Amnesia Fortnite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know of our Amnesia Fortnites?
I do.
Headlander was one of the games from I guess 2012.
13.
Anyways.
Oh, so there's an example.
But then wasn't voted on to be made, and then it was revisited later after Amnesia Fortnite.
Nice.
Yeah, we're actually making the game with Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Who is like a really perfect partner for such a strange game.
But it's Adult Swim, like they're a little strange.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not them as people, but like the things that they do.
Oh, as
it's
people too.
adults. Well, Sean, if you're watching.
Yeah. Sean, that guy is just. They're all awesome, actually. Like really fun to work with.
Yeah, they really got Headlander. They really understood the weird stuff that was eager to put in there, the strange things, which was fantastic.
You were just like your head in space, floating around, terrorizing a space station, causing mass destruction, and they said, "Yup."
So that was our first orange shepherd we found here. So one thing we haven't really talked about is the shepherd color. So you see in the lower right we have a security bar there, and it's like goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. And each shepherd that you get into has a color, and that determines the doors they go in. So you have an orange door here. And it also determines like how many times their lasers bounce. So this orange laser will bounce, it's a little hard to show up here. See, it bounces twice now instead of once. And then a yellow guy will bounce 3 times, and a green 4, and a blue 5. And so it gets crazier. But we can also open up these doors now as an orange guy. But they're also a little tougher. Like they can take a few more shots, and they deal a little more melee damage, and their lasers do more damage. So it's kind of like that when you fight the tougher enemies, they're also the weapons you're going to be using. So it's kind of an unusual dynamic where I could just run and gun and blow these guys up really quickly. But then if they actually happen to have a body I want, I have to be a little more careful and find a way to like take their heads out, either by doing a headshot, or at this stage I could, go here and pull it off with the vacuum drive. There's other upgrades that you can use to get onto heads as well.
That head went rolling.
And you can see there's a lot of
brutal. Oh, bye.
Bye. Punch his body too.
Goodbye forever.
And look at that. And shoot him. Yeah, I don't have much health left in this character, so like if I really wanted to hold on to this body, I could try and find a way to get to a health station. I know there's one right there, but I'm gonna not do that.
There's an intriguing question mark.
Find another sweet bot. Oh my.
So
she was having none of it.
So you can see these guys can kind of mow these red guys down here, and I'm gonna go in here, which was an orange door I needed to get through.
Oh, it's another goopy thing.
There's a thing. Oh no, I'm gonna lose my orange body. So I lost it, but I made it into the orange room. Oh, he got me in the rebound.
I love that the heads just like bounce and roll away, and it's like that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that orange body.
They're fine. They're probably downloaded somewhere. Right?
Well, so the shepherds are just simple automatons. There's no human consciousness there. But the humans, the citizens, there's a little story point where they talk about how they get re-downloaded to a new body if anything goes wrong. So the funny part in the game is that if you look closely when you land into a citizen body, you'll see a name like John-10. And the thing is, if you actually kill that person, blow up their body, not really killing them, and you come back later into that same room, they will be incremented. So it'll be like Johnny-11. Kill that, come back and be Johnny-12. They all skip 13 though, which is another story point. Yeah, there's that's sort of the rebels later on. You meet are the daughters of Lucia 13, and the computer believes that bodies with a 13 designation have inherent flaws. Because the rebels, the first
amazing.
rebel was 13, so there's all this like.
This guy's own superstition.
His own superstition,
Yeah.
right? Not substantiated by anything, but so there's no 13 in anybody.
It's like computers with superstitions. I read a thing once about some people who programmed a robot to bid on the stock market based purely on superstition and to develop its own superstitions based on what it had found.
What happened?
Just wasted all his money. And they're like, nothing happened.
What?
But, you know, like it would take all human superstitions, like Friday the 13th, that's bad. Whatever. But then it would like
Ladders, don't
if
invest.
it bids on Wednesday and the weather was a certain way, it would develop. Oh good God, I did that twice and that's bad. I'll never do that again.
That's crazy.
That's funny. So that's how I imagine Methuselah's existence.
Just purely statistic-based superstition. When we were in here having fun, I forgot to actually tune the satellite.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Too much fun.
Blowing
Too
up
much fun.
things.
It's time for a reminder of the importance.
So.
So you have all the colors of the rainbow bar
Yes.
one. What,
Oh yeah. So well, you know, when there's as far as I know, people still debate whether there's actually indigo as a separate color, and so yeah, there's no indigo. Methuselah decided there's no indigo. They're like indigo's bullshit. It's just blue and violet. So yeah, there's no indigo. And there is I think there's a few jokes in there somewhere in the game. I'm sure I wrote some stupid jokes about indigo and violet. That
It's
are
like,
in there
you know,
somewhere.
deciding Pluto's on a planet. Indigo's
Yeah.
not a color.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last time I saw like an actual rainbow, and like I mean,
Ooh, we
it's
got a
purple.
quad.
It doesn't rain
Split.
enough here for
No,
there to be rainbows.
yeah,
does it?
exactly. Like the last rainbow I saw was like across the country.
So we
It's
just
too dry and
got
sad.
a quad split laser.
Got the rainbows.
We did.
Except on Pride.
Yeah.
When we have all rainbows.
They don't have indigo. I think.
Oh,
they
yeah.
They just do stop at purple.
There you go.
Oh, punch me back. I need to. Yeah, right now my upgrades don't. My melee is not doing too much damage, but if you upgrade it all the way, you basically can one-hit punch kill people, which is pretty
Ooh.
fun. So I'm almost there. I'm gonna still.
Wow.
So I have a quad split laser,
Oh.
which is pretty crazy.
Oh my
You
God.
go nuts with it. Oh, he got me, but I'm going to use my body to blow up his body. And now I'm going to wait for one to respawn and take his head before he can hurt me. Thank you.
So will they always respawn? Like if you just stand there killing them?
No,
forever?
no. It's you know it's and this guy has a try. So this is 3 shots of orange power right on top of each other. This is a lot of damage. But in terms of body respawning, we have people will run in from doors. If you're ever left alone in a room for a long time, since you need a body to get out, we find a way to get a body in there, but it's not
Okay.
always the same place. It's not always the same time, so there's some randomness there, and you can't just completely predict it, you know? So
I like that the orange robots kind of have these like short like a short thing going on.
yeah.
little-
Well, you know what it
stubby
is funny is we
kinda
actually have, even though
Oh, it's true.
they have no genders per se, we actually have the shepherds are slightly feminized and slightly masculine in different models. So this one is slightly feminine and the voice is slightly different. And just because we thought it'd be interesting if they had some slightly more human attributes that Methuselah. There's no reason that Methuselah would give them genders. It's just one of those sort of insane things. Oh my, I'm losing my cool body
Oh no.
that I can get here.
Look at lasers. So many lasers. It's so frantic.
There you go.
Insane.
Yeah, you know, when you're at the earlier levels of the game like this, because one of the things we really is put a ton of lasers on the screen. A lot of times lasers just wind up being like, you can't do that much with lasers because it would just kill people all the time. But since bodies are disposable, kind of in this, we can kind of put a ton of lasers on screen because you still have, you can eject as a head, and you're kind of more vulnerable as a head, but you're also in some ways harder to hit. So it's like this interesting balance where like, just put a ton of lasers, let people lose bodies all the time, And that I think gives the game a unique feel that is hard to do unless you're maybe playing like a shmup or something, where it's just like tons of lasers everywhere. And I'm getting caught like a fool trying to get through here.
No.
What's in here? I want to get the bonus before we leave. All right, so we've realigned all 5 of the satellites, and Earl's like, I can talk to y'all now, so you need to go to the Power Dome.
The Power Dome.
Power Dome's our next area that he wants us to head to.
The Power
Is
Dome.
that near the Fondalarium?
No. So you can see we've kind of like, this is where we've got so far. We've got a waypoint down here. Now we could
So far.
go back at any time and hit some of these, like, we've even some here that aren't on the map that we haven't found. There's also a side quest or 2 that we've passed at this point that we could come back to, but I'm just going to kind of move through some of the areas so you can see some new art and new robots. And maybe I will not talk while I'm going through.
Talking
It's pretty easy to get through. You pretty much
ill-advised.
just press straight up.
It's such a nice explosion of color.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right, guys. Let's see, where are we at? So we've got an orange body, and this looks kind of like where we're going to go, so I'm going to try and get down to that part there. And I need an orange body to get through that door. I'm a witch.
It's like you've been playing this for a while.
A little bit. Okay, so we're going to go down.
Weird head access tunnels.
Yeah.
Built in case a head
Yeah,
decided to
you
go
know.
rogue. And
You got to run power conduit somewhere. It's the future. So now I found myself a yellow body.
Ooh.
And the yellow tri, this thing is going to do a
Caprice.
serious amount of damage. If we find anything less than yellow, it has pretty much no chance. Like this guy. Goodbye.
Wow.
I can
Yellow
probably-
is so OP.
Yes. You can see the power glow.
Wow.
We're already halfway up that color scale.
Yeah, and there's many different types of weapons that we have fractal lasers that show up later that fire in fractal patterns that put like 30 lasers on the screen when you fire.
Wow.
Goodbye. Yeah. So there's definitely it's an interesting power curve. You don't always notice it because sometimes you tend to fight, in areas, you'll get into areas where maybe there's a lot of other yellow people as well. But when you find some of the other things, some of the less powered guys, you're pretty overpowered. Goodbye. Okay, we'll go this way.
Robots.
More robots.
For a head, he runs pretty well.
He does, yeah.
He's got that locomotion down.
Well, it doesn't get tired. He doesn't need to get tired.
Old guys
Need
can
to
run
breathe.
too.
Imagine every time you get tired, you could just switch out.
Oh, look
no,
at that bounce
no
shot.
sweating.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bounce shot.
Oh.
Because now this thing is bouncing an additional time from orange, right? So I'm bouncing like 3 times now. There's another yellow door up here. So this one is a repair station. You can see I've taken some damage, and I really like this yellow body, so I don't want to lose it. So
Oh, there's a fresh one.
yeah, there's a fresh one there. But let's see if its laser is better. Because I have a triple. This looks like this is a triple as well, so we're pretty good. Oh, and a little secret.
Pick up a fresh bod, be on your way.
Yeah. Just went to the store, picked up a 6-pack.
That kind of sounded weird. I don't.
Yeah.
Pick
good.
up fresh bod.
There is a lot of body.
Whoops.
Oh, I can see that we have another upgrade. This should maybe let me upgrade my melee all the way. And I can start, or I can do something else a little crazy. Let's see what we have for upgrades at this point.
It almost looks like the Death Star in these little sections, just like all the lights going up the side.
Yes. Okay, so let's try a headbutt takeover. So,
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
do
nice.
so this one,
That is true. That is very Death Star, all the little squares.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
is.
very Darth Vader's chest.
Star
kind of.
Wars was actually 70s science fiction,
Yeah,
although we
yeah.
didn't look at Star Wars too much just because it's so ubiquitous, but we did look a lot at other things Ralph McQuarrie, who's the sort of chief production designer, did, like Battlestar Galactica. So I can show you, let's see, let's find everybody.
Before we go out, let's show
Yep.
us one more cool thing.
Okay, how about we take over someone's head, or body with my head.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
we're gonna do
headbutt.
the
Let's
headbutt.
get some headbutts
Headbutt,
in.
body, bonk, and there we go.
Yeah.
So it's also convenient, even if you have bodies, you just want to switch. Like, oh, that one's on level tell. Hey, you. Now you do have to get close
Wow.
to them, so it is a little harder if they're firing lasers at you to actually make it there. But also, since I've upgraded my melee, it's just like a one-hit headbutt swap. But if you hadn't done that, it would take a couple of headbutts. So yeah, that's pretty fun to do.
If you could give the people that are picking up Headlander this week one piece of gameplay advice, both of you.
Please.
One thing. You can only tell them one thing. One piece of guidance.
What would my one piece of guidance? My one piece of guidance would be to Geez, I don't know. What did I say? I would just say just have fun with it because we tried to design a lot of the different branches all to be successful so that you wouldn't like optionally paint yourself in a corner, but really to kind of look at those upgrades. And if you're a person who likes to fly around and likes shoot 'em ups and like to be just the head, there's upgrade options that let the head become an offensive weapon. But if you're like more like I like to take cover and I really like bouncing lasers, then kind of upgrade those systems and hopefully people find a whole upgrade path that's just for the way that they like to play the game. But try them all out, because sometimes you're not sure of like, is it that fun to headbutt someone? And the answer is yes, it is.
Yeah, so. That looks really fun. What about you?
You can even headbutt a citizen.
I would say if you're a fan of Doublefine games in particular, or maybe if you're not, just spend time like just looking at all the silly background things, talking to people, because there's some really stupid dialogue and funny jokes and crazy puns. Leah's got a crazy, dirty pun mind, and
I've
there's a
seen
lot of
some
weird
of those.
stuff
They're
in
very
here
good.
for you to find, and just really enjoy the style and the presentation of this thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by and showing this. Headlander.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime. You guys are right
cool.
down the road. Just come over and hang out.
Awesome.
Well, Headlander out this week, PC and PS4.
Correct.
It came out on Tuesday, and you can see our review up on GameSpot.com. Thanks, everyone.